All right, today, the next two examples, we're going to divide a polynomial by a binomial. And if you recall from initially in the year when we were dealing with polynomials, a polynomial is a algebraic expression with multiple terms, two or more terms, but a binomial specifically has exactly two terms. So, take a look, divide whatever by negative 3 plus x. Negative 3 plus x is two terms, that's a binomial. So, and again, no matter how many terms this has, if it's a polynomial divided by two terms, that's what we're going to follow is this process. Now, the first step of these problems is to get proper format, which is long division format, with descending order and zero terms if necessary. A zero term is just a power that's missing. So if there's an x cubed but no x squared, you're going to put a 0x squared in. All right, that's going to happen in problem 4. Not so much in problem 3. So as far as step 1 is concerned, let me just do that real quick. This is the dividend. When you write long division, you put one of these cool quotient bars, right? Remember that from 4th grade or 5th grade, whatever year we started doing this? The dividend is what goes underneath here. So in descending order, so squared, cubed first, 0 power. So this goes first, positive 3x cubed. This goes second, negative 2x squared. This goes third, positive 5x. And this goes last, positive 50. A descending order of the variable, highest power down to lowest power. The dividend, what we're dividing into, goes inside this thing. And the divisor, what we're dividing by, goes outside, also in descending order. Negative 3 plus x in descending order is going to be positive x minus 3. Every problem we get right now in this section and of this type from lesson 86 is going to have the letter x plus or minus a number. Every one of them. All right, so the division part is going to be really simple. You'll see that in a moment. But that's job 1, is to get the correct structure of the problem. Divisor into dividend, both things in descending order. Now the division process goes as follows. The division process would be these 4 steps here. All right? You divide to get an answer. You multiply the answer times the divisor, you get the numbers underneath. You subtract, which is changing signs, combine like terms, bring everything else down. All right? That's the division process. If you're left with a constant, a number without x attached to it, you're done. If not, you got to go back and do steps 2, 3, 4, and 5 again. And then do steps 2, 3, 4, and 5 again. And then do it again and again and again until you get to just a number. Each step in the process gets the highest powered term to disappear. All right, so let's walk through this real quick to see how to divide. The division step is real simple. The highest powered term inside divided by the highest powered term outside is the division. This is the same level of division difficulty as examples 1 and 2 was. We're dividing a single object, this, by a single object, that. If I'm doing, let me just write that out over here. If I'm doing 3x cubed divided by x, what does that equal?
3x squared.
3x squared. That's how we get answers up on top. Don't worry about the entire problem. Just look at the very first thing here, very first thing there, and just simply do that division. It's a real simple division. We're going to be dividing by x each time, so what ends up happening is you get the exact same thing as this with one less power on it. Every time you divide, that's what's going to happen up here. Once you've divided to get an answer, the next step is to multiply the answer you get, this answer, times the entire divisor. So I'm only going to divide by x, but I'm going to multiply the answer times both pieces. So I'm going to get two things, something here and something here. 3x squared times x makes 3x cubed. 3x squared times negative 3 makes negative 9x squared. Okay? Pay attention to signs when you do that. The signs are what they are. Okay? Let the products happen as they should. And then I'm going to change the signs when I subtract. So think back to long division, regular long division. You get an answer up here, you multiply this times this to get this, right? And then you subtract this. All right? How many pieces are here? 2. I want to subtract. So if I want to subtract this, I have to change the sign and change the sign. That's what subtracting is, changing signs. Once I've changed those signs, now I should either add or subtract depending on the signs I'm looking at. So what happens here, what should happen every time is the highest power disappears. 3x cubed, negative 3x cubed are opposites, they cancel. These two objects have opposite signs, so I subtract. 9 is bigger than 2, so it's positive. Then I bring everything else down. If what's in black there is a constant, in other words, 6, -2, some number, I'm done. If there's still x's here, I got to go through this process again. So going through the process again, I'm going to go a little quicker this time. I'm supposed to take the first object divided by the first object. Again, the division to get stuff up here is always first divided by first. 7x squared divided by x is going to be positive 7x. There has to be a plus or minus sign on every single term after the first one. The first one, if it's positive, does not require a sign. After that, there has to be a sign. So plus 7x. 7x times x is positive 7x squared. 7x times -3 is negative 21x. Next, I subtract. Subtraction is changing signs. 7x squared becomes negative. 21x becomes positive. 7x squared minus 7x squared cancels. 5x and 21x. This time these are the same signs, so we're going to get 26x. Notice I added those this time. Again, the step says to subtract. Subtraction is changing signs. Once you've changed signs, now you have a decision. Should I add or subtract based on signs? Same sign, add. Bring everything else down. This still has an x in it, so I'm not done. Divide first object by first object. 26x divided by x is going to be plus 26. Positive divided by positive makes a positive. The 26x divided by x, the x's cancel, leaving just the 26. I then multiply 26 times x minus 3. That gives me 26x minus 78. Again, that's the product. I'm supposed to subtract the product. Subtraction is changing signs. 26x becomes negative. 78 becomes positive. 26x minus 26x cancels. 50 plus 78, both positive by adding at 128. This is my remainder, so now we're at step 6. Step 6, if you get a constant, you're done, and what we're left with is the remainder. What we're going to do with the remainder is this. It's positive, so I put a plus sign. If it was negative, I put a minus sign. And then I create the remainder term by putting the remainder over the divisor. And that's my quotient, just like so.